What is up, YouTube? My name's James. I'm bringing you guys a brand new video here today, and today I'm bringing you guys a tutorial on how to edit photos with zero color in the sky and turning those skies into beautiful, vibrant colors. So the photo we're going to be editing today is this photo I took on Broadway. The photo was taken around 6:30 p.m. The sky is blue. The highlights are a little overexposed. The street and the buildings around me are super dark. So I'm going to show you guys how to increase the exposure on the streets and the buildings, and I'm going to show you guys how to make the highlights of the sky a little bit darker, and also how to bring out amazing color out of the sky from absolutely nothing. I used my Sony A7R with my 24mm 1.4 lens for this photo, and it was actually the first photo I took with this lens, fun fact. I know the video is long, guys, it's like 28 minutes long, I'm sorry. But I go super in depth on this photo. I use brushes, Radial Filter. I go crazy in depth with the brushes. Like, I use so many brushes to make this photo absolutely perfect. I show you guys my mistakes. I fix my mistakes while I'm editing, and it's just a bundle of joy. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment. Let me know what you guys want to see in the future. Subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Links in the description below. And lastly, guys, my name's James. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Okay guys, so here's the photo we're editing today, and so as you can see, the sky is very blue, even white in some areas because of how blown out the highlights are. But anyway guys, I'm going to be showing you guys how to get color out of any sky, specifically this one, which is very blue. So before we get into it, this is what the final photo will look like. So as you can see, huge difference. That is a very big difference. Now, you can argue the shadows are too blown out, it's too bright, but honestly, I really like this photo, and I think that it's really good for what it was. It was a really crappy photo, and it was turned into a pretty decent photo, in my opinion. But more specifically, the sky was turned into something that is very nice. Okay guys, so let's get straight into how to edit this photo. So the first thing we're going to do is keep the temperature where it's at. I'm not going to change the temperature at all for this whole tutorial. The tint, though, we're going to make around plus 58, just like that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to keep the exposure the same, and we're going to make the contrast around plus 52, just like that. That pretty much just, adding contrast is so important for most photos, so it's pretty normal we're doing that here now. Next, for the highlights, we're going to make those around -64 to make the sky and the clouds more visible. The next thing we're going to do is up those shadows around plus 36, get some light into our street and buildings. And we're going to up the whites around plus 47, just to, pretty much just make the sky a little nicer. And next, the blacks to around plus 32, again, get some more colors in our dark areas. Next, we're going to get some clarity and make that around plus 21, just like that. Add some more detail in there, make it sharper. Our vibrance and saturation we're going to keep the same, and for our tone curve, it's going to be a slight tone curve, nothing crazy. So we're going to bring our first point and bring it up to around right there. Make a second point and put it about right there, and a third point about right there. Slight tone curve, nothing crazy. Next, we're going to go to our HSL, our hue, saturation, and luminance. The first thing we're going to do is make our yellows a bit more orange, or at a -47, just like that. Make the blues a little bit more aqua, or at around -15 or so. -16 is okay too. And the reason why we do that is make our blues a little more aqua in the sky. It just looks nicer, and the yellow's a little more orange, because it looks nicer, a little more orange. Next, we're gonna mess with our saturations, and we're gonna keep all of our warm colors the same, but we're going to turn all of our cool colors to around -60. So put the first one around -60, green, and just keep going. Just like that. And so what that's going to do is it's going to make our warm colors pop very well. So that's why we lower the saturations. We don't want to see blues, fucking greens and shit. We want to see reds, oranges, and yellows. The next thing we're going to mess with is our luminances. We're going to make our reds at around plus 22, our oranges at around plus 17, our yellows at and greens, and pretty much everything up to our blues is going to be around plus 15 as well, So we're just going to go all the way down just like that. And the next thing is our purples are going to be plus 43. And we're going to keep everything else the same. Now, you're not going to notice what that does now, but you'll see what it does later. You're not going to really be able to tell, but it does make a difference. The next thing we're going to do is our split toning. We're going to make the highlights at around 16, which is a very, very like orangey, yellow, red. That makes no sense. This is pretty much just orange. We're going to do that right there and make the saturation around plus 32. You know, really start getting that colors in the sky and in the photo and the street and stuff. The next for our shadows is going to be 223, just like that, which is a very like aqua / blue color. And we'll make our saturation around 9. So some nice blue shadows. The next thing we're going to do is pretty much keeping everything else the same right here. I didn't touch any of the cropping, anything like that at all. No vignetting, no grain, no camera calibration adjustments, just this here. But what we haven't done yet is our brushing. We have a lot of brushing to do. We have about like 8 brushes that I made here. So when it comes to photos like this, where the highlights are a little blown out, the shadows are dark, you're gonna have to do brushing. Brushing is everything, especially when you want to get color out of the sky, when the sky isn't colorful whatsoever. So, what we're gonna do here for this first brush is we are going to brush literally everything but the sky. So, we're gonna go ahead and brush the street here, the building surrounding it, this railing. Actually, I have to erase the railing. I forgot the railing isn't included in the first brush. This side of the street right here, and literally everything. Let's make our brush a little smaller real quick and get this little portion here just like that. And then we're going to go to the erase tool and just erase the railing portion, and just go back in our brush and just get to the side of it again because I brushed a little bit off the street just like that. And so now for our settings on this, we're going to make the temperature at around 46, make those a lot more yellow, and we're going to make the tint at around 12, just like that. The next thing we're going to do is up the exposure to around 1.26, really make this picture bright. We want to brighten this up a lot. So, real quick, I want to just go along here, make sure everything is covered. Let's look over our brush real quick and make sure everything's covered. Yes, it is. Let's just get that little spot right there. That doesn't seem to be covered. Actually, a lot of it doesn't seem to be covered. So we're going to go over it again. When you use a big brush, sometimes it doesn't get everything. You may think it does, but it just doesn't. So make sure you always go over everything twice and make sure you get everything. So we seem to be good. We seem to be on track here. The next thing we're going to mess with is we are going to do the contrast, up that to around plus 57. Get more contrast out of our buildings and street. We're going to make the highlights around plus 37 because we decreased a lot of the highlights when we did it when we went to the sky, but now I want to get them back in the street area. The next thing we're going to do is lower the shadows to around -6. I never like increasing shadows that much because it just makes it look worse than it would if you up the exposure of it entirely. The next is our clarity. Lower that to around -5. Get rid of the detail a little bit out of there, and so we don't take it away from the clouds. And the saturation to around -34. Just like that, because you don't want it to be too saturated. Real quick, before we finish up this brush, I want to just completely erase the sky, because some of it probably got on the sky. So we're just going to go over it real quick. As you can see, some did in fact get on the sky. So I just want to go over it real quick and make sure we have everything. That seems to be good. So our next brush, we are going to be editing the railing and making it just a little bit brighter. I believe brighter. So that's our brush right there on our railing. We're going to make it a little bit cooler actually in temperature, around -10. Just a tad cooler. And we're going to make it around a 0.74 exposure. So it's a bit brighter, as you can see. You know, get some more shine out of it. Just a little more detail, all that stuff. So that's it for this brush. The next brush we're going to be doing is on the right side of the street, on all these buildings over here. So let's make our brush big again, and let's completely edit these buildings here. Just the buildings, by the way. We don't want to edit the street, so I have to go back to my brush and erase some stuff. So we're gonna go just like that. And now I want to just erase this person right here. Well, these people here. Make the brush a little bit bigger now. And just make sure we completely get the street out of there. The next thing we're going to be doing here is now adjusting the brush. And we're just going to make the exposure negative 0.27. Just like that. It's a little bit darker than what it was. And then we're actually going to make another brush again and just edit this little portion right here. That's very dark. We want to make it more even with the rest of the photo. So we're just going to go like that. And then erase what was on this building here, because we do not want to get this building at all, because it's already fairly bright. And we're just going to up the exposure to around 1.03. And we're just going to go to our erase tool again and just erase that part right there. So when it's just like that, that's perfect. It's very even now, and even with the rest of the photo, the street, the rest of the building, it's nice. The next brush we're going to do is editing the left side of the street now. So what we want to do is we want to get this brush right here and just brush over it all. Just like that. Let's go to our erase tool. Let's erase what's on that building, and let's erase what was in the sky. You always want to make sure you erase what was in the sky because you don't want the sky to be affected by your brush. We're just going to make this a 0.52 exposure, just like that. And now it's brighter, and now I want to go on this building all the way to the left, just that building and the ground right here, and make that a little brighter now, because this black like sheet it has over it for construction makes it a bit darker, and we don't want that darkness. We want it to be bright and visible and detailed. So we're going to make that exposure around 1.78, just like that, and we're going to make the temperature and tint actually change as well to a 40 temperature and a 37 tint, which I believe is a little bit too bright. So we're just going to lower the exposure just a little bit, just like that. Next brush, we're going to edit this building all the way out in here by itself. So we're just going to edit this little building right here, and we're going to make the exposure around 0.57. Just like that, and now we're going to be into the sky. It's time for the sky. So what we're going to do is we are going to first edit the whole sky as a whole. So we're going to just take our brush, we're going to go along the whole sky, make it a little smaller now to fit in this crack. Just like that. And we're going to make this now, there's a lot of adjustments here, 36 temperature, make it warmer now, a 48 tint, make it more purpley and red. We're not going to touch the exposure, we're going to make the contrast around 23. We're going to make the highlights at around -1, and doesn't make much of a difference at all, but in the grand scheme of things, every single thing makes a difference. Clarity at around 18, make it a little bit sharper, and our saturation around 21. Make those colors pop more. The next thing we're going to do is now edit the sky as a whole again, but we're going to be making it more saturated. Sorry, not more saturated, but more colorful with tip and temperature modules. So we're going to make our brush a little bit bigger, just get everything real quick, just like that. Now make the brush a little bit smaller. And what we're going to do here is make the temperature at around 58, and we're going to make the tint at around 37, just like that. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We just want to erase the side of this building right here. And up here as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our last brush, and we're going to do the same thing. Just like so. And what we're going to do now is make a new brush, and we are going to go on and edit the top part of the sky. So up here. Oops, we did not want to do that. We're going to make our brush a little bit bigger again. And before we end this after we finish this brush, I want to go back to our past brushes and edit all of them over again, because there are a lot of changes that I want to make. And I did not mean to go edit down there, so we're just going to go to erase tool and just erase everything right there. So what we're going to do with this brush here is we're going to make the temperature at around -34. just a bit cooler. So now it's more even of a look. It gets a little more purpley, as like a dark purple as you go up, and not as just straight purple the whole time. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to go back to our old brushes in the sky, and I want to make them a little bit more even and make sure this completely covering the whole sky instead of getting that white line right at the end of it. So we're going to go completely along just like that. Then we're going to go to our first brush right here and do the same thing. Make sure everything is covered. And as you can see, it's getting covered once again. And there we go. Now it's even again. It's nice. And I want to go over to this building right here now and edit that brush as well, because it's definitely way too purpley in my opinion. Way too purpley. So we're just going to go just like that. And that's perfect the way it is. Nothing else needed right there. And so now we actually have a radial filter. So how we're going to position this radial filter is by putting it around right here and just stretching it out like so, just like this. We're gonna position it right here-ish, and we're gonna tilt it. Not make a new brush. That's not what I wanted to do. We're going to go back to this brush and angle it so it's kind of hitting the sky and the road at the same time. So just like that. Now we're going to edit this brush, and we are going to make it at around a 0.59 exposure. Just up the exposure completely of the road, and we're going to invert the mask as well, so it's affecting just what we put here. And as you can see, now the picture just got a lot brighter right here. I think it just thundered outside because my room just flashed. Wow. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to fix the brushing on this radial filter right here. So what we're going to do is we are going to go in and we are going to just brush the entire street. Wow, it's thundering loud. I think it's about to start raining crazily. So we're going to finish this up real quick, what we can. Wow. That is a lot of thunder. Wow. And now what we want to do though is I want to completely go in and erase the buildings here. I do not want this radial filter on the buildings at all. And the sky's already bright, so it doesn't need to be even brighter than it is now. We're just going to erase everything. Pretty much, if we could have just made the street brighter, but I used a radial filter instead. So that's that part right there. Now I just want to go in and just fix some little things, because your photo needs to be as the best you can make it. Without going completely overboard, it needs to be good. So in the streets here, it's a little bit green over here, and over here as well. So I want to make it a little bit more yellow, because it's going to match the rest of the picture. So just like that, I want to just make the picture more yellow. Over here as well could use it. So just a little bit more yellow. It doesn't need to be crazy. Just a little bit. I don't know why that's being so yellow. There. Sometimes when you brush it, this doesn't work out. The street looks good in my opinion, but the brushing on this side does not look good. So I'm just gonna erase it. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. I'm not gonna go crazy. It doesn't need to be perfect at all. So, but now what I want to do is I want to edit the sky one last time. I feel like it's a little bit too purple in my opinion. It's definitely way too purple. So what I want to do is I want to go into our sky, and I want to just fix the how purple it is. Let me just check this brush right here. Yeah, apparently it's still affecting down here, so I want to just erase. There we go. Now it's more red down there. But when I'm going to go into the other brushes that are affecting the whole sky, and I want to make it just less purpley. It's just a little bit too unrealistic right now. Obviously, this photo is an unrealistic photo. It's never going to look like this in the city. It's never going to be that bright. But still, you can make it look as best as you can. So we're just going to turn down the purples right here, just like so. And then we're going to go into the other brush and then just mess around in that one and just see what we can do. Yeah, I think that's a lot better now. It's a lot less. It's just not as much now. It's a little bit more realistic. Wasn't that much of a difference, but it's still a difference in my eyes. I'm very, very overly critical of my photos. So, what I noticed on this photo, real quick before I end the video, is that it's way too purpley than it should be. It's just way, way too purpley. So we're gonna go on a mission to fix how purple it is, because it's very, very purple. It should not be this purple. I looked at the old photo, and it was kind of like a shocker almost, at how non-purpley it was. I thought it was purpley before, but this is now purpley. This is not good. So we need to go and fix this now. So we need to figure out what we need to do to make this a less purpley photo. I think what we need to do here is I think we need to go just straight for the whole picture, just lower the tint. Just like that. And now what we can do is we can go back to the sky in our brushes, and we can go and edit the colors now and make them a little bit more purple now, because that was the problem before. Everything was just too much. It was just too purple. I made a mistake when editing the original tint of the photo, and it was just so crazy. It was just too much. So here we're gonna go into our tint and just make it a little bit more purple, just like that. And I think that's good. That's good now. Let's just push right there, because it's a little bit uneven with the blue. Even you could leave that. I mean, it's character, I guess you could say, but it's just something that I'm not that much of a fan of. So I want to just go in completely and make sure that's perfect before I end the video. You are dragging on a little bit now, more than I intended. So there we go. Now it's even. That looks good now. That looks really good. But anyway, guys, that's the video. I hope you all enjoyed. So if we look back now at the original photo, you can see that it's pretty similar. It's not perfectly similar, but it's pretty similar in my opinion. So if you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I got a new video coming out in the next 2-3 days or so about urban night photography and how to do that. So be sure to stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy. I got a big weekend coming up for me. I'm moving into Manhattan on Sunday, and I'm super excited. Moving into college, I'm going to FIT, so that's going to be really awesome. I might be a little busy to make videos, but I'm going to try to make time, hopefully. But anyway, guys, be sure to comment. Let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know what kind of tutorials you guys want to see in the future. Subscribe, and lastly, guys, my name is James. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
This is the sound of its skin on the linoleum floor. This is the sound of quarantine wings in a hospital. It's not so pleasant and it's not so good.
Oh! Finally.
Wait, time out. Don't jump down. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, there it is.
So, Logic followed me on Instagram apparently. That's kind of interesting.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh, that would have been crazy.
Out here catching bangers. I hate myself. Like I do. I actually hate myself.
I hate you too.
Thanks.